Hey platform, it's Rowan, and today I am so excited to be officially announcing our book club picks for 2022. That's right, the platform Whye book club is back and we are going to be reading loads of new Whye books that are releasing this year. So in this video, just in case you aren't familiar with the book club already, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about how it works, how you can join, and the books that we are going to be reading. So the platform Whye book club, as the name suggests, is a book club where we read one young adult book together every month. Not only do we read the book and discuss what we thought with each other on our Discord, we also get the chance to ask questions of the author themselves, because every author who is in the book club this year is going to be coming onto the platform YouTube channel for a special live stream on the last Tuesday of the month. These live streams are so much fun. They happen at 7 p.m. UK time, and essentially I just have a chat with the author, talk a little bit about the book, ask the questions you've put forward on the Discord. You can also ask your questions live in the chat, and it's just like a good fun time. Or essentially, if you've ever wanted to ask an author a question, like you finish a book or you're reading it and you think, I need to know what they were thinking, or I wonder if they wrote this differently in another draft, you can ask them whatever question they want. It is always so much fun. We have heard thrillers where there was a totally different person who was going to have done it. We have romances where there was a draft where it ended in tragedy. It's so cool to be able to see behind the scenes and really talk to the authors as if we're in the same room, even if they are scattered all over the world in reality. So if you'd like to join, I will leave a link to our Discord in the description of this video so you can check it out. There is already an amazing community of readers on there from the book club that we did last year. And not only do we talk about the books that we're reading for the book club, but also everything else we're reading. People give recommendations, we talk about what's happening in our lives. It's just a really sweet little community. One of the great things about chatting on Discord for the book club is that obviously everyone's going to read at different speeds during the month. Some people will get through the book in a day, super speedy. Some people, you know who you are, finish reading the book about 5 minutes before the author live stream happens. That has happened on multiple occasions last year. But one of the great things about Discord is you can make it so that the message you've typed, say you've wanted to type a message about a big thing that happens on page 183, you can just make it so that the text you've written comes up as blank unless you click on it. So you just let everyone know, hey, this is going to be something that's to do with page 183. And if you've already read that far, you can just click on it and see what they have to say. So no one's scared of being spoiled when they're in the chat, and you can just kind of type to your heart's content about everything that you're thinking while reading, all in the chat, and people can just check in as and when they reach the page that you're on. But just in case there are people who don't manage to finish the whole book by the time the author live stream comes around, because sometimes life gets in the way. The way that the live streams work is that the first half is more talking about the book in general, its premise, a little bit about the writing journey of the author, things like that. And then the second half is spoiler chat. So you can essentially watch till the halfway point and then come back later once you finish the whole book, because you won't get spoiled for anything until that last half, which has worked really well so far. It's really exciting to get to talk to the authors about the book with spoilers, because that almost never happens. When authors do book tours and events, they normally have to answer in a way that doesn't give anything away about the book, because you can't tell whether people have read it or not who have come to the event or the signing. So if you've ever wanted to join a supportive community of fellow readers and had someone to talk to about a book that you're reading while you're reading it, definitely check it out. And now, without further ado, let's talk about the books that we are going to be reading this year. I am so excited. It's full of such just amazing sounding books. We have our books and authors confirmed all the way till November, so a lot to look forward to. Our first book, the book we are going to be reading this month in March, is Beasts of Prey. So the teams behind each of these books have given me 3 words for each book to sort of sum up the vibe, to give you a sense of what the book might be like. And the 3 words for this are mythos, magic, adventure. I feel like I've talked loads about this book on the channel already. I'm just so excited to get to read it. So it's been described as a great read for fans of The Gilded Ones and Shadow and Bone. We joked last year about the book club that we had some kind of secret nefarious influence over adaptations of these books, because we kept reading these books, and the announcement that it was being made into a movie or a TV show would come out at the same time as we were reading it. This, I can confirm, has already been confirmed to be having a Netflix adaptation. So we're kind of continuing in the same tradition this year too. This is a YA fantasy trilogy based on Pan-African mythology. So we have the first book, this Beasts of Prey book, which is going to be the first in the series. So there will be 2 more coming, which is Very exciting for anyone who likes to dig into like a fantasy world with a lot of world building. You know that if there's more than one book, you're going to be exploring loads of stuff about the world as you kind of journey through. For a book that I haven't read yet, I really feel like I'm an expert giving the summary of this book to people because I've done it so often on this channel because we've just been so excited about it. So two teenagers from totally different worlds. One is kind of an indentured servant. She's the keeper of the night zoo. This is a notorious place where like deadly mythical beasts are held. She's attempting to pay off her family debts, and in an explosive inciting incident, she unleashes a power that she does not understand. Meanwhile, our second protagonist is training to be an elite warrior, is almost at his like final rite of passage, his final journey into being the warrior that his like father, his family wants him to be. I think you can tell this is where everything is going to start to collide. It is not going to be plain sailing for our boy. He's not just going to like breeze on through that rite of passage, like have a really, ordinary and boring life. I think we know that everything's going to start to get real messed up. They essentially form a tentative alliance in order to try and purge their city of this dangerous creature that is plaguing it. I'm so stoked for our first book club book of this year to be like fast-paced, action-packed. Like we're setting off with a bang. We're going full steam ahead for our March book, because then in April we are moving on to Man Down, which is a very different kind of book. So the 3 words that the publisher found for this one are contemporary, toxic masculinity, mental health. So a pattern I think a lot of people have noticed is that YA tends to have either like a female protagonist or like a dual POV like Beasts of Prey does. But this specifically has a male protagonist, and I think that is so exciting and refreshing that we're going to be including books like this within the book club, especially because this book is going to be exploring the pressures and expectations put on boys today. So Will lives in a town that is pretty sexist. Like girls are treated as objects. You need to like man up. You need to fight if you're a boy. Like that's what's expected of you. And he doesn't really feel like he fits into that. He's much more interested in school and education than he is like going to the gym and fighting. He also adores his gran. She's like the most important person to him. So I know a lot of us are pretty intrigued by this book because the blurb on the back of it doesn't give a lot away, right? Like it gives us that initial premise of who he is, and then it teases us with like, something is coming. There is a disaster that's coming. There is something that's going to happen that he will be able to prevent, that he will be able to help stop. But we have no idea what it is. But we do have some clues as to the tone and the vibe of the book based on the quotes on the back from authors that were like sent the book in advance to see what they thought of it. It's been described as searingly powerful, staggeringly good, utterly compelling, and utterly original. It sounds incredible. Moving on to our May book, we are going to be reading Ghosted by our old favorite Emily Barr. So this one is kind of ambiguous, but I mean, specifically deliberately because it is a mystery. Like that goes with the genre. It's kind of like being talked about as like a mystery romance. So the 3 words we were given here were mystery, romance, and twist. I love when there's a twist. I'm so bad at guessing them. But that's kind of half the fun, is just having no clue and it comes out of nowhere. If you've read any Emily Barr before, then you knew that it wasn't just going to be a straight romance. Like we knew there was going to be some kind of mystery, some kind of thriller element, something else going on here, because that's just what Emily Barr does. Okay, so the premise is there's this girl and this boy. They kind of meet completely coincidentally, and there immediately is a connection. There is a spark, there is something there. And so they exchange numbers with the agreement that the boy is going to France. When he comes back, they'll message, they'll meet up. It's going to be amazing. Except when she goes to message him, the number's disconnected. It's not a real number. He's basically just ghosted her, like given her a fake number. You know, in the real world, in the world that isn't an exciting book, that would be the end of it. But obviously, because there's a whole, this plotline continues into being an entire story, you know that something weird is about to happen. Because not only does she see him again, this guy that she just met completely coincidentally, she keeps seeing him, and he is not in France. Like he is there where they coincidentally met the other day, and has no idea like who she is. As far as he's concerned, they've never met before. Okay, so we've already had a fantasy and some contemporary. So in June, we are going to be reading a bit of sort of historical fiction. Historical, can we call it historical? It's set in the 90s. So the book is called When You Call My Name, and the 3 words or phrases, I guess, are LGBTQ plus romance, coming of age, and found family. So it's difficult to give like a summary of this book, like a quick, like, here's the character, here's the hook, here's the big drama, because it's more, kind of seems like more like an exploration of these different characters and their friendship and their relationships kind of as queer teens in New York City in the 90s. So we have wannabe film student Adam, who is 17 and has just been asked on a date for the first time by a boy, and it's perfect and everything that he dreamed of and everything that he kind of has seen in romance movies with straight characters. And then we have Ben, who's just left his homophobic family after they find out that he's gay and has moved to New York, where being gay is something that he's feeling increasingly that he doesn't have to be ashamed of and can be something positive in his life. And so Adam and Ben kind of have this chance meeting. They fall into each other's orbit, and we essentially get this story of not just each of them dealing with their own issues and their own experiences and relationships, but also like the connection and the found family that they find together. I know that this one is going to make all of us severely emotional, because one of the last lines that's being used, like when people talk about the book and the summaries and the blurbs, is that it's a book about like queer joy and queer friendship and found family, but also about like the experiences as a young person that like can break your heart for the first time, but also the importance of the people that help you put it back together. And I'm like, I'm ready to cry, everyone. I know I'm going to cry while reading this book. I can just tell. So once we've had a nice cathartic summer cry in June, we're going to be going to the complete other end of the spectrum with a romantic comedy in July with an 8+1. So our 3 words here are LGBTQ+ romance, comedy, and music. If you've read author Kevin Van Whye's other sort of YA romantic comedy book, Date Me Bryson Keller, you will know that we should be expecting glorious, sugary, sweet romance, adorableness, just such wholesome good times with this book. I feel like we're going to get whiplash from these 2 months in a row, but I love the fact that we're going to completely different genres, completely different vibes and styles, like every single month this year. Okay, so on the one hand, we have Nate. He is kind of a singer-songwriter that is stage shy, if not, suffering from the stage fright. And he is very excited to be going to a cousin's wedding. It's an all-expenses-paid trip to South Africa. It's going to be incredible until he finds out this absolute sleaze of an ex-boyfriend is also on the guest list. So that's what's happening with Nate over here. And then we have Jay. So Jay kind of feels like he couldn't be more opposite to Nate. He's like the hot as hell rock god of the school, like has this incredible band. He is going places, except for the fact that the lead singer has just quit right before they are about to like have the performance that is going to make or break their careers going forwards. I think we all know what the solution is here. Jay is going to go with Nate to the wedding as a +1 to, maybe make his ex a bit jealous. And we also know that Nate is going to be filling in as the lead singer in Jay's band to make sure that that gig goes off without a hitch. But I think we also know that they are not going to be having a turbulence-free ride, shall we say, metaphorically speaking, as they're going on this trip and performing in this gig. The book is also set during summer, so I think it's very appropriate that we are reading it in July. In August, we are changing genres once again, this time going to the world of dystopia with The Stranded. So our 3 words are betrayal, thriller, and dystopia. So a very different vibe altogether. It's been described as The Hunger Games meets Station 11, which is pretty intense. We are looking at a post-apocalyptic world here. So basically, amongst other things that we know were happening in the worlds that started to fracture apart, there was a war in Europe, and a load of refugees got onto this luxury cruise liner called the Arcadia. So the original plan for the people who fled on the ship was obviously that they would like sail to somewhere else, make landfall, and leave and go to that country as refugees. Except for the fact that that did not work, because it is 40 years later and they are currently floating off the coast of what used to be the US. Now, obviously, living on a ship for 40 years was not what was originally planned. And so there has been a kind of dystopian society has formed within the ship of extreme inequality, of gangs and violence. So this is another book with 2 protagonists. We have one protagonist who essentially wants to toe the line, work her hardest, because there are very, very few opportunities, very rare, that people are allowed off of the ship in order to help with what's going on the land, specifically as a medic. So she essentially just wants to study, toe the line, to become a medic so she can leave the ship and live her life on land. And then you have this other character. He is very much the opposite vibe to this, essentially part of a rebellion movement. He is not satisfied with the idea that just a few people get to make landfall in their lives and on the ship. He wants to liberate the ship for all forever. And so, as I'm sure you can work out, their lives are going to be thrown together, their plans are going to be up in the air, and maybe something even more sinister might be lurking below the surface in this dystopian world. Now, I love a good fluffy romance like what we're going to be getting in July, but I also love a good dystopia. So again, I feel like the real switcheroo between those 2 months is going to be very enjoyable for all of us. And then in September, we are back to a contemporary story, This Place Is Still Beautiful. Our 3 words here are race, romance, and coming of age. This time our story is about 2 sisters who essentially can only agree on one thing, which is that they have absolutely nothing in common. So our first sister is Annalie, and she is just very sweet, very content, and basically is just excited for a summer where she gets to flirt with the popular boy in school. Her sister Margaret, on the other hand, is extremely ambitious, has a huge passion for social justice, and also just wants to kind of forget about her ex-boyfriend. Very much not interested in flirting with the cute guys. These differences become even more punctuated when one day Margaret comes home to find that there has been a racial slur painted across their house. And she is enraged by this, but is equally confused by the reaction of her family, who don't seem to want to do anything about it. This is just the start of a summer with even more building tensions between the 2 sisters, which were already pretty high. And then, as if things couldn't get worse between them, a powerful secret threatens to tear them apart forever. This book has been described as a must-read for fans of like Nicola Yoon and Angie Thomas, people who are interested in like powerful stories, ones that deal with things like identity and family secrets. And then in October, of course, we had to pick a kind of Halloween-themed read in Our Crooked Hearts. The 3 words: witchcraft, secrets, friendships. Yes, please. It's being described as a gripping mystery crossed with a pitch dark tale of modern day witchcraft. Okay, so something I'm really interested about with this book is the fact it is 2 points of view, again, like a few of our books have been so far, but the other books have been either like the points of view of love interests or friends or siblings. This one is a mother and a daughter, but it's the daughter's point of view as a teenager now, and then the mum's point of view of what happened to her when she was a teenager in the past. So the mum storyline, again set in the past when she was a teenager, is giving me big craft vibes, or I don't know, basically from what we know of the summary, something happens where her friend, and this other girl in the school are attempting to summon, contact, make a pact with maybe, something supernatural. And then weird stuff is happening in the present day with her daughter. And you know that stuff is going to be connected, right? So I like do not know where this is going to be going. Like, we know that Melissa Albert has written some like twisty, dark, fairy tale inspired stuff before. So I honestly am so excited to see where this goes, because I feel like we have seen books that talk about the supernatural where it is about the supernatural and it's about like spirits or ghosts or witches or things like that. But I also know that we've had some where it's all like in people's imaginations, or it's more of like symbolic or metaphorical. And I don't know which one it's going to be, but I guess we're going to have to read to find out. And finally, our November read is With Fire in Their Blood. So our 3 words or phrases here are dark academia, supernatural, love square. Not a love triangle, love square. So this book isn't out for a while now, so we only know so much about it, but already everything I'm hearing is incredible. So it starts with this girl Lily, who arrives in this like old Italian town and very quickly falls in with these 3 other teenagers who she thinks are like, you know, cool, mysterious, probably attractive. Like, one's rebellious, one's brooding, one's sensitive. They all have secrets, which I'm sure at some point are going to be coming out. And of course, sparks are beginning to fly. So when you read the blurb of the book, like up until that point, it feels like, okay, so Lily is the one who's coming into this world of the supernatural, right? Like, she's going to be the human who's like coming into this world, this magical world, except for the last line, which says that she breaks like a cardinal rule of the warring families on this island, which is that when like the men of this powerful leader come to test your blood, the rule she breaks is that your blood better not be anything other than purely human. Our girl Lily's supernatural. Here's the thing. I don't know what creatures we're dealing with here. Like, are we going vampires? Are we thinking werewolves, witches, sorcerers, succubus, incubus, deities? Like, I don't know. And I cannot wait to find out. And that brings us to the end of our book club schedule announcements. Those are all of the books that we are going to be reading this year. I am so excited. I'm sure you are too at this point, for all of the different titles that we have coming up, all of the authors that we're going to get to talk to, the different genres, the vibes, the tones, the characters. I'm going to be leaving links to all of the books in the description. Most of them aren't out yet, but you will be able to pre-order them, which is essentially like you order it now and it will arrive at your house or at your local bookshop basically the day that it's released. So if you're excited about this list, want to join a book club community of like supportive readers who get to talk to the actual authors of the books, oh my god, so cool, then join us. The Discord, as I mentioned, is below in the description. I would love to see you there so we can all have a chat about the amazing things that we're going to read this year. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Platform for more videos about books, writing, authors, and publishing.